It's late Thursday, so we'll be doing some more of the garden tours. Hadn't been out to the regular garden yet, and it looks like it's going to rain again. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next time. Goodbye. Hi, welcome to the channel today. Today we're going to be talking about a seed haul we got from Victory Seed Company. They're stationed out of Roanoke, Texas. Ordered from them before. They're a good, reputable dealership. They carry a lot of different kinds of tomatoes, especially if you've ever got the Epic tomato book. They sell a lot. I think there's over 600 tomato varieties they sell. A lot of them are the dwarf, the dwarf varieties, and also a lot of heirlooms and hybrids also. So they do give you a little sticker if you like stickers. And thank you note. Okay, this is going to be an actual, this is something they hadn't done before. They gave you a pack of radish seeds called China Rose. And yeah, that was just a free pack to put in there. Okay, so first one I got is a summer squash called Tatum, I guess, or Tatum. And it is supposed to be a winter squash that is a vining plant. You can use it as summer top squash or let it mature up to a winter squash. If you cut it early, you can use it as summer squash. It is supposed to have resistance to the squash vine borer. It can still get it, but I noticed on my Trombocio squash, if you can get them up pretty good size, plant them early, get a pretty good size, and then they get the squash vine borer, they seem to be able to tolerate it better than most squash. It says here it's summer stage, harvest when green, about the size of a baseball. Left to get bigger, they get 6 to 8 inches in diameter and have a golden yellow in color. So, I've never grown it. I actually bought the seed though one time and never did plant them years ago. I'll plant them this next year hopefully. The next one, and I guess I could if I want to try a winter squash, for this fall planting, I guess I could do that. I did get a yellow bush scallop squash, and these are one that looks kind of like a spaceship. I grew the moonbeam this year. There was a white one. I like the way the yellow one looks as far as it kind of pops a little bit better. The next one on the list, and this is going to be a fall planting, is broccoli called early purple sprouting broccoli. Now, good thing about this broccoli, it's supposed to be productive. You have to plant it early. It says it's an Old English variety, overwintering for a spring harvest. You're not going to make any this fall. Okay, it's not a squash that you plant and you're going to make it this fall. It's this plant you're going to plant now, and you have to keep it alive throughout the summer, throughout the winter time, and then it will come up and start producing next spring, probably around March. Never grown it before, not even grew this. Yeah, I never have grown this size, not grew this size. Never have grown this type before. Its days to harvest is about 200 days. Okay, so you got to plant it in August, get it up, get it growing. You can put the seeds inside, to get them sprouted. Then you bring them outside. You pot them up a time or two, maybe, and then plant them in the ground. And you got to keep that sucker alive for 200 days before you start getting the harvest. So it is a long one. It's gonna be like celery. You got to start early, go through the winter. It's going to take a long time. I'll probably put this in a pot. That way I can kind of set it there and let it go, and we'll see how it does. Never grown it before. Just thought it'd be interesting. They do also have other purple broccolis that will make quicker, but now the next one is a Shishito pepper. Okay, this is a pretty popular pepper plant. I will say it does have a quirk to it. It's Japanese heirloom. Fruits are wrinkled and thin skin, measures 3 to 4 inches long. It's typically harvested and eaten while still green. The peppers will ripen to red if left on a plant. They're best enjoyed grilled or roasted. Now, one thing that I've heard is about every 10th pepper is going to be hot. It is a sweet pepper, but there's a genetic quirk in it that they say every 10th pepper, not pepper plant, but every 10th pepper tends to be hot, like very hot. You know, not super, super hot, but jalapeno hot, all right? They don't really know why. You'll have 9 peppers, 10 peppers come off of a plant, they'll be sweet, and that 10th, 11th pepper will be hot. So there's no rhyme or reason to it. I'll probably try to talk my wife into trying each one of them before we plant. That won't work, but I'll try. She don't like hot stuff. And we can handle hot stuff. We don't like really hot stuff. You know, I can handle, you know, hot sauces and all that. I don't want something that's burning my mouth, burning the back of my throat. I don't mind having a kick to it, but we don't like really, really hot things. Bought some more Orange Glow seeds. Orange Glow was by far the best watermelon I grew this year. Not in production, but the numbers that we eat, because they tasted so good. We would eat on those, and the other ones sometimes they would go bad because we was eating on the orange meated ones, okay? It is very sweet, sugary, crisp. It does have a very thin rind. It will split on you. If you bump it, you know, I don't think I only had it. They didn't split any worse in the field, but if you hit it on the counter, it might split on you, okay? It's that type of splitting. It's not splitting where every one of them is busting open. I've had watermelons do that to me before. I think a Wilson watermelon did that. It wasn't that. Average between 15 and 25 pounds. It does say they're very productive. I wouldn't say I don't think it made as many watermelons as the other ones did, but it made a good amount. And like I say, it was the ones that we ate. So you say, why didn't I save seeds? I thought about that, but I grew 5 different varieties. And you do run a risk of cross-pollination, so it kind of made me come back to, well, crap, I'm going to have to grow seeds again. Or I'm going to have to buy seeds again. So if all I was growing was Orange Glow, I could have done that. Could have saved the seeds, saved me a lot of money, but I didn't do that. And in that tradition of continuing, there's also a Mulberry's Yellow. I've not grown a yellow tomato, a yellow watermelon this year. Days germination is 5 to 9. It's 90 to 100 days to harvest, a little bit longer than the Orange Glow. Fixing for a storm up here. It just says it's got thin rinds, they almost explode open when you put a knife to them, and Orange Glow did the same thing. It says it's fine grain, crisp. I like a crisp watermelon. I don't like one that's mealy. And that's why I used to not like Black Diamond, and they were very popular whenever I was, you know, a teenager or college age, you know, in my 20s. But I never found one I ever liked because it was always mealy, it's always stringy. So this is not supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be fine grain, crisp, wonderful orange flesh. Let's call Mulberry's Yellow. We'll see if it's yellow, which if it's yellow or orange. So I didn't read that part. It's supposed to be juicy and amazingly sweet. So I'm gonna kind of compare the two and see how they do. Of course, that also screws up with me saving seeds. The other one I got is Desert King. Desert King. I think I grew this like 40 years ago, 30 years ago. I'd like to think more like 30 instead of 40, but I think it's closer to 40. They're supposed to be between 15 and 25 pounds. They're sweet, they're yellow, and have a light pea green rind. It's supposed to resist sunburn, which I do kind of have a problem with that here, believe it or not. So we're going to try that out. It does say Desert King. It is drought tolerant. I don't need the drought tolerant necessarily, though I don't irrigate my watermelons. I haven't yet, but you know, we're going to give it a try. I like to let my watermelons this year, if y'all can't tell. The next up is called Dwarf Audrey's Love. It's a tomato plant. It is a paste type tomato. It is also a dwarf tomato. It does say it grows only 2 to 3 foot tall. So the original plant will grow 4 to 6 foot tall. So it's got the dwarf gene in it. They say they're tall, but are fairly productive. Now that does lend to think it's not really productive, but we'll see. It's a paste type that weighs 2 to 4 ounces each. They're chocolate colored. I do like chocolate colored tomatoes. Deep red with green shoulders and have gotten striping. They're juicy, have a mild, balanced flavor, which kind of way you go. You don't want a super sweet. Most people don't like a super sweet paste tomato. Because when you process them, for whatever reason, the tomato taste don't come out as well. The next one is called Opaka. Now if I remember right, I think it's supposed to be like an improved San Marano that doesn't split as bad. If I remember right, it's red fruits that reach up to 6 inches in length and are elongated, tapered to blunt, or sometimes pointy tips. They're meaty with few seeds, and unlike most common paste tomatoes. But don't say how they're unlike. Okay. I'm just going to give it a try. Like I say, I almost know this is the reason I got it, because it was supposed to be kind of an improved. It's supposed to have some. It wasn't supposed to get a blossom end rot as bad as the San Marano. So we're going to give that one a try. And the last one that I bought is Napoleon. And hopefully I'm not really totally butchering that name. It's an Italian paste type fruit. They're about 3 ounces and are pear shaped. I'm trying some different paste type tomatoes. I tried a new one this year called Banana Legs. It did really well, produced really well. So I'm going to kind of try some out. I think I finally got my wife over. She was always scared about screwing up the salsa, and I kept telling her it's not that hard. And finally, whenever I said, hey, I'll grill the tomatoes, so I don't have to worry about that part of it. I'll grill them on the grill. I take a skewer, put them in there, and that worked pretty well. We do need to work on we got a little bit too much greens in it. It had kind of a grassy taste on some of them. That was my fault. But we didn't have any garlic, so I put garlic chives in there. And since I knew garlic chives, so I put out a big handful and put in a little bit too much. Because garlic chives, for me, just make like crazy. We're trying to find a reason to use them. But anyway, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I got 10 different seeds that I bought, and I also got some China Rose radish seeds, which maybe I can find somebody that likes radishes. No one in my family does. I did hear, just so y'all know, my in-laws, even my father-in-law was alive, and my mother-in-law's still alive. And they told us, you need to try radishes, because if you'll bake them like you do a potato, you can't tell the difference. And we tried that, and basically I told them that they hadn't ate potatoes in a very long time, because we could definitely tell the difference, and still didn't like the taste of it. Now, everybody's taste is different. If you love radishes, more power to you, God bless you. We don't. And so I still try to do some reviews on stuff we may not particularly like to eat, just so you can kind of see how to grow them. I mean, some things, radishes are kind of fun to grow, because you can throw them in there, they'll come up, and a lot of them make it in 45 days, sometimes earlier. So they're kind of fun to grow, but we just don't like eating them. And then finding somebody that really likes them can be hard too. But anyway, another seed haul, won't be the last one. I do buy seeds throughout the year. Most of them I will end up planting. But anyway, and really the sprouting, the purple sprouting broccoli is the one I'm kind of really interested in, as far as I have never grown one like that before, so it's going to be something new for me. So you can watch me if I screw up or if I do good. Like I say, gardening, you're always learning. You're always going to be messing up somewhere. Don't be worried. You're never going to be perfect. No one is perfect. So sometimes you got to jump out there and try something. If it works, great. If it don't work, well, I knew one people planting, I'm rambling a little bit, but one person about planting fruit trees, and they finally asked how many fruit trees really make the cut after you plant them. And one guy was saying maybe a fourth of them. He said the other 3 I planted, and it just didn't fit. It didn't grow good, didn't taste good. Something of it was wrong, and they get rid of them. So even the master guys that do it for a living, they have about 25% success rate when they try a new variety out. Some of them it just don't work. Problem we've got here in Southeast Texas is there's just like especially, well, main thing, you shouldn't be growing peach trees in Southeast Texas, but if you really like peaches, you're still going to give it a try. Well, they're over there, as you can see, I'm still trying. But there's not a lot of details of, you know, we got Bryan College Station, which isn't very far from us, but they got a totally different environment than we got. And then you have to go LSU. Used to do a little bit of work on it. They do got La Feliciana that did pretty good, but it was such a late peach. But it didn't make good for the first couple of years. And then you have to go all the way to Florida. And I do like Florida peaches better than anybody else. So you gotta play, you gotta try. I've kind of gotten off of some of the fruit trees. I tend to go through stages. I go through stages of pineapples and still learning on those. But anyway, just came back, been out of town since Tuesday. Left out Tuesday, got back today.